The riflemen in Noobs in Combat are a very specific troop that don't have very many uses outside of being just generally bad-mannered troops. Now, I'm not saying that they're considered, well, they are considered bad, as they have one of the worst attacks in the game, and their only redeeming quality is foreshadowed by a very much better troop that I'll get into in a different video. However, the riflemen do have some niche characteristics that can be used in their own ways to exploit some weaknesses that can be caused for your opponents. Now, to start off, the riflemen have 6 ammo in their main attack, which means that they can stay in the front lines without attention, like supply attention, longer than grunts can, longer than SMG squad can, and longer than actually most units can. So they won't be as supply dependent as other troops, despite my use of supply carrier in the video. Aside from this, the spammy nature of the main infantry line, that being riflemen, grunts, riflemen, SMG squad, and grunts, is that they are extremely spammable. Therefore, you're going to be using a lot of them, so the 5 ticks difference between riflemen and grunts is very important, more so important than something like light machine gun or light gunner. And this change in the ticks cost will be most noticeable whenever you're in situations such as you have to play 6 riflemen compared to the 5 that you'd be able to play for the same cost as grunts. So essentially you're getting 6 riflemen for the cost of 5 grunts, which is honestly not that bad. However, with the with the nature of these guys being extremely spammable, they don't cover the amount that you'd really need them to get a bunch of value off of it. Now, not saying that one unit is bad, but like it's not going to be the entire game changer unless it is. But other than that, it's generally disapproved to use riflemen over grunts because of all the cons that they have comparatively. However, I do think that riflemen are very viable if used correctly. Anyways, while their radio quality isn't as high as that of their grunts counterpart, they do have a lot more radio disperse in that they are able to be spammed a lot more comparatively. Now, I'm not saying that the grunts radio is bad. It's very good, especially with how cheap it is. However, I am saying that the rifleman radio is better to cover a lot more bases than the grunts radio does. Not only that, but it's the only one-tile radio in the game, which I will say is more of a con than a pro, but it does give the riflemen some uniqueness to them, even if the uniqueness is considered subpar to other radios in the game, especially that of Sniper Team, which can call in from 3 tiles away. As for things to pair with the rifleman radio, I would say field gun is your best option for it. However, another good option is assault gun, because assault gun's mobility is better than that of the rifleman. However, assault gun has no turret, which stops it from being incredible. Don't get me wrong, it's still a good unit, but when paired with rifleman, it does give a more distinct area of usage rather than a more vague range of indecision that you'd get with grunts. You are going to have a lot of riflemen on the field if you're going to use them, which is good. You need a lot more riflemen than your grunts counterpart, but I will say that rifleman rocket truck is very, very bad to use, and I do not recommend it at all. However, if you're gonna do it, I mean, just don't. Like, there's no benefits to using Rifleman rocket truck, and it's more than likely going to hurt not only one Rifleman squadron, but multiple at the same time. So just don't do it. Like, it's just a bad strategy, and you're more than likely going to lose if you do use it. Not only that, but using Rifleman rocket truck could also potentially harm your teammates, which would not only get you in hot water if they report it, but also is just a generally annoying move. Anyways, back to topic. Riflemen also have value in that they are one of the only main infantry, the other one being SMG squad, to have value in a World War II loadout. Not only this, but they're also actually a part of the World War I loadout, which is about 15 units, if I remember correctly, not including their evolutions. But this means that Riflemen are a very good piece when it comes to loadouts such as things that you need to use for Titan Slayer, even though grunts are allowed in that challenge. But also some of the other challenge roles could also use World War II exclusive loadouts, which Riflemen are kind of the best main infantry that you have, aside from SMG squad technically being available, which, I mean, SMG squad have very good offensive potential, but in defensive potential they really don't have much because of how little their grenades are going to be used. So Riflemen are debatably better than SMG squad whenever it comes to things like defense, although I will say SMG squad just kind of wipes Riflemen because they do double the damage for the same exact cost. Anyways, not only that, but in PvP matches, Riflemen also have the value of being incredibly BM troops, bad manners that is, in that if you get beat with somebody using Riflemen, you're probably going to be pissed because, well, they were using Riflemen. And not only that, but like, you got beat by somebody using Riflemen, which is unanimously decided to be the worst unit in the game, which is also why I can't find very many pros for the unit itself. Anyways, as for other topics, Riflemen, like the usage of Riflemen is best as a meat shield, which is essentially saying that you're better off not actually using Riflemen as a valuable unit, rather as fodder to put in front of your other more expensive units, which is why I'm using the most expensive unit in the game in this loadout, that being Heavy Tank CW, which costs 240 ticks if you didn't know, which is super fucking expensive when compared to the 25 ticks that Riflemen are available for. And Heavy Tank CW honestly isn't a very good unit. It's extremely expensive for the price. It has a similar problem to Riflemen whenever it comes to how effective they are compared to their cost, where HTCW, which I'll be referring to as HTCW from now on, is its cost doesn't justify the actual power it has, that being really underpowered and underwhelming whenever it comes to anything except for versing a battle tank. And Riflemen, they're extremely underpowered for their cost as well. They just don't have what you really need in a unit that costs 25 ticks. Now, don't get me wrong, everybody has the Rifleman. It's literally one of the first units that you can obtain in the game, which they're good for newer players. However, I will also say that they're just bad as you've leveled up. The best use for Riflemen is, as I've stated before, either the extended ammo, the World War II value, and additionally they have, as I've said before, the bad manners value, in that if you get beaten by somebody with Riflemen, you just are going to have a fucking bad day. Anyways, Riflemen are not a good unit. I'll just say it. They're really bad whenever it comes to really anything. they're overshadowed by their other evolutions, those being that Grunts has a better radio than Rifleman, SMG Squad deals double the damage for the same price, and Grunts M doesn't really have any similarities with Rifleman. However, I will say that Grunts M is just generally better than Rifleman. It's not really debatable. Rifleman is just the worst unit in the game currently, and I'm not expecting that to change because really, Riflemen are supposed to be the worst unit in the game. They're the starter unit that you get, and you're not really going to be able to use after you get out of that starter stage. So it's healthy to see something like Rifleman being bad. However, I will say that the healthiness of this is limited in that some people just want to use Rifleman. Like, they just want to have a good time with Rifleman. And that's okay, because that's what the World War II challenges are for. And if you'd like to do those challenges, then that's all you. I mean, go ahead. However, those aren't for everybody, and Rifleman isn't for everybody. So if you're not willing to put in the time and effort to play Rifleman correctly, then go ahead, use something like Grunts or SMG Squad. But if you're willing to actually put in the time to use SMG Squad correctly, or not SMG Squad, Rifleman, if you're willing to put in the time to use Rifleman correctly, then you're not going to get paid much, metaphorically, of course. You're really just going to get disappointed, I guess, because Riflemen aren't good. Like, their best use is, as I've said before, with either assault or field gun. And the most rewarding part of Riflemen is that you know how to use Riflemen. There's nothing much to it. It's just not a good unit. And people understand this. People know that using Riflemen is probably a bad idea, and that you should probably use Grunts or SMG Squad instead. However, I mean, the challenge is all you. I mean, go ahead if you want to use it. It's all up to subjective opinion. And if you like using underpowered units to feel better about yourself, then go ahead. Nobody's gonna judge you for using Riflemen. In fact, I think people will find it really freaking cool that you know how to properly use Riflemen. Now, with that being said, don't run Riflemen in every deck, as it's not a very good unit. And especially in competitive decks, it's not the best. Unless it's a World War II competition, then go ahead. Go use Riflemen. I mean, that's all you. But other than that, Riflemen don't have any real strengths. I really tried to gather information about Riflemen and stuff, about their pros and cons. I've literally talked to multiple people in the actual Scuffed Projects Discord server, which is the group that runs Noobs in Combat. I've talked to multiple people in that server, and nobody's really given me a concrete, real reason to actually use Riflemen over any other troop, other than that it has more ammo. So I'll just say it, Rifleman is a bad troop. You shouldn't be using it in any of your loadouts unless they're World War II. Now, you shouldn't use it. Like, there is no buts about it. Like, just stay away from Riflemen as soon as you get a better option comparatively to Riflemen. But it feels really good whenever you actually do win with Riflemen. And if you need that ego boost, then go right ahead. However, I will say that it's easier to lose whenever you have Riflemen. And it doesn't give you a real excuse either, because people just in this community don't have brain cells properly. However, that shouldn't deter you. You should just enjoy the game. If you enjoy playing Riflemen, play Riflemen. But if you don't enjoy playing Riflemen, then don't do it. Don't torture yourself. It's best to just have fun whenever you're playing this game. And if Riflemen doesn't bring you fun, then don't play Riflemen. Or just don't play the game. However, I will say playing the game is probably a better idea than not, because this game is a fucking vortex of addiction. But, I mean, again, at the end of the day, it's all you. Do what you want. The riflemen are only tools at your disposal to use whenever you'd like. And I will say that they have some good combos, some that are better than others, because of how cheap they are comparatively to grunts, and how they are the cheapest radio in the game comparatively to, well, grunts, and how SMG Squad doesn't really have a radio on it. But other than that, they're just shit. Don't use riflemen. I've said it multiple times. Just stay away from riflemen. Unless you're the GOAT or something. I would recommend just staying away. That's the only advice I could really give you. Unless you're like some sort of sick and twisted guy with sick and twisted tendencies that you like to use underpowered troops on purpose, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Go all ahead if you want to, but I just personally don't like using underpowered troops, especially in a PvP setting. However, I will say that it is very funny if you lose to riflemen, because they are such a bad troop. Almost a meme in the community. Additionally, in terms of memes in the community, there is also a thing called Rifleman R, which they were made before Rifleman had the radio perk, which was added in, I think, version 3.30 or 3.3.0. Before they had a radio, Rifleman R were invented, and people enjoy joking about the Rifleman R, which, yeah, it's funny now, but back then, R meant radio, and now it means rockets. So people are just saying Rifleman rockets now, which I find fucking hilarious. But if you ever see Rifleman R, that's what it means, so don't be alarmed. It's just a joke. Anyways, I have nothing to talk about for the rest of this video, so I'm just gonna kind of not talk anymore. Sorry. I'm working on it. My YouTube skills aren't the best, and this is like my first video that I've done in a while that actually features me talking to a screen. So, yeah. Anyways, have a freaking good day, and subscribe. Subscribe. Hit the red button. Do it.